Let's research the question, what makes a good research question? Research questions need to meet 4 criteria. They need to be clear, internally consistent, answerable, and substantively relevant. Let's expand on each of these 4 criteria. Clarity of the research question refers to it being clear what all the terms and relationships in the question entail. We need to know the definition of each concept in the question. A question like, do bonuses work, is unclear. First, it doesn't specify the type, what is meant by work. Do you intend to research whether bonuses lead people to work harder, whether bonuses lead to higher profits, or just whether bonuses are an effective way to get rid of excess money? Work is far too unspecific a term. Also, bonuses may not be a specific term in this question. Is it above expected pay that you are referring to? Is it cash components? Is it pay in the form of stock options? So even bonuses may not be specific enough. You not only need to be clear on the concepts themselves, but also on the way they relate. Does one cause the other, or are they influencing each other? Are they associated? Is there a two-directional causality? There are different types of relationships that you can assume exist, and you need to be specific. For example, you could argue that a bonus leads to people to work harder, but on the other hand, if people work harder, you also need to pay out more bonuses. And in your research question, you need to be clear which direction you are looking for. A question like, what is the relationship between stock options and company profit, is far more clear than do bonuses work. Second, the question needs to be answerable. You need to be able to give an answer. Now that may seem an open door, but many questions cannot be answered in practice. First, there are normative questions, questions that are of the should type. Should we vaccinate children against COVID-19? That's a question that you cannot answer because it asks for a person's opinion. They are normative questions. Also, questions sometimes are about trends that are yet to unfold. A trend that is so new that there's not a lot of material to be collected on it cannot be researched yet. And that also makes it an unanswerable research question. You cannot collect meaningful data on it to answer the question. Questions need to be internally consistent. A research question is a main question, and there are many sub-questions attached to it. For example, if you want to research the question whether stock options lead people to work harder, then a sub-question could be about the level of stock options, and another sub-question could go into company profit. Now, these need to be coherent. You need to ensure that the set of sub-questions jointly answers the research question, and that there is no sub-question that doesn't play a role in answering the main question. Often you see research questions about, bonuses and company profit, and then the first question is, what is the history of bonuses? Now these don't answer, it may be relevant background information to present somewhere, but it is not a sub-question. It's not a question that helps in answering the research question. So the sub-questions jointly make up the main question, and there should not be a sub-question that is redundant, that doesn't answer part of the main question. Finally, a research question needs to be substantively relevant. That is to say, it answers a question that exists in the real world. And this may be an imaginary question. It may not be a specific question that is formulated to you, but it is often good to think of a potential question that may exist out there. If you imagine main questions and sub-questions as 2 layers of questioning, then there's often a level on top of that, which would be, you could say, the managerial question or the governmental question. That is a question that's often less specific than the research question, that is bothering some group outside your research. These may be companies, governments, but also consumers, practitioners, nurses, whatnot. Any group can have a relevant question. So a government may, for example, wonder whether it should do something about the explosion of bonuses in the economy. Should we tax this or not? And that is not, as I said before, a valuable research question, because it is a normative question. But you can ask then, as a research question, what is the effect of bonuses on company profitability? And the government, with the answer to that question, can think of a policy solution for the issue of bonuses. So these 4 criteria, if they are met, they characterize a good research question. You need to be very specific on the terms that you refer to. You need to be specific on the relationship between these terms. You need to ensure that the sub-questions jointly answer the main question, and that there are no sub-questions that do not figure in the answering of the main question. And you need to ensure that the research question addresses an issue that exists in the real world.